Boys and girls, today we're going to be doing a reading comprehension activity. That means we're going to be reading so that we understand. And there's two things we're going to work on today. One, we're going to work on the story order. And remember, a lot of times we use that big word called sequence, the order the story happens in. And we're also going to be going back in the text and looking for details. So we're going to do two things to help make sure we understand what we're reading. All right, before we start our lesson today, I want to talk about some of those sequence or order words. I'm going to say the word and you're going to repeat it after me. Here we go. First, next, then, last. Very good. Sometimes we say finally, don't we? You're right. And these are the words that help us to understand how the story happened, especially if we're going to retell it or tell somebody the story in our own words. All right, boys and girls, I'm going to go ahead and read the story to you. The title is A Pot of Gold. Where is the pot of gold? Is it by the dog? No, not by the dog. Is it by the man? No, not by the man. Is the gold in the bin? No, not the bin. Do you see the pot of gold? Yes, it is at the end of the rainbow. Good. Boys and girls, did you notice the clues that were in the story that helped me know how I should say things? Some clues told me that I should have a question in my voice, like when I said, "Do you see the pot of gold?" Something else told me I should read with excitement, like when I said, "No, not the bin." Does anyone remember what those are? Yes, Hawksley, it's the punctuation. Very good. But what do we mean when we say punctuation? Okay, yep, Logan? Right, a question mark is one type of punctuation. And I'm going to go ahead and highlight where we found some question marks. See those right there? Those are question marks. When I see those, my voice is going to ask a question like, "Do you see those?" Did you notice how my voice kind of went up there? That's how we ask questions. All right, Salvatore, you're right. The other type of punctuation that was very helpful in the story was the exclamation point. Sounds like the word exciting, doesn't it? It sure does. I'm going to go ahead and highlight our exclamation points, and I'm going to give you an example of how I would read that. The last sentence is a good example of that. Yes, it is at the end of the rainbow. See how I was more excited about how I said that? I didn't say like, it's at the end of the rainbow. Yeah, that would just be kind of a boring sentence. We knew we had to be excited about it. Yes, you're right. There was another type of punctuation in there. All right, Angie, what's it called? Yeah, it is. It's a period. There was a lot of different periods in here, weren't there? Oh, look, and I just saw a question mark or two that I missed. Let's go back and get those other question marks. Look at each of these are question marks. And the period, we remember, is just a little dot. But that little dot tells us a lot, doesn't it? It sure does. It's like a stop sign that tells us that the sentence stopped. All right, let's get back to the meaning of our story. Well, boys and girls, I have here some pictures. I have a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. I have a man by a pot. And I have a dog by a pot. And I also have a pot next to a recycling bin. That's a bin, like a container. Yep, very good. All right, boys and girls, in order for us to make sure that we understand what happened in the story, we're going to try to put the story in the right order or the right sequence. All right, does anybody remember? Think back to what we read. Does anyone remember what happened first? What happened first? Where did they look for that pot of gold? Oh, wow. All right, you remember, is she? But you do have a good memory. All right, you're right. They looked for the dog. Let's go back to the text and double check, but I do think you're right. It said, is it by the dog? No, not by the dog. But I know since that came first in the story, when I was reading it, that that's going to be first in our sequence. So in front of the word first, I'm going to put the dog. happened next? Was the pot by the man or was the pot by the bin? I really don't remember. What should I do if I don't remember? Do I just guess? Well, maybe sometime if there's no other choice, you can take a thinking guess. But there is something else we can do. Right. All right, what can we do? You go ahead and tell us, Aviana. Right, we go back to the text. That means we take a look back in the book if we're reading from a storybook, or in this case, since it's just on a worksheet, I can go back to my worksheet and I can reread. I don't have to start at the beginning because I know I already figured out the first part. Let's start right about here and let's reread. Is the gold by the man? No, not by the man. Oh, look at that. If I look closely, here's where we saw the word dog. Now we found the word man. So now I know the next thing that happened in the story is that they looked for the pot of gold by the man. So I'm going to put that by the word next, or the number 2. So we looked by the dog, then we looked by the man. All right, let's move on to what happened then after they looked by the man. All right, who's going to help us with this one? Reed, you ready to help us? You're always ready to help, aren't you? You're right. It says the bin. Let's go back and look for the word bin. B-in, bin. No, it is not the bin where it is hiding. All right, but the answer is bin for what happened third or then. So let's go ahead and put the bin in. Oh, I bet you a lot of you want to answer this one, don't you? You do. You remember what happened last. Capri, why don't you tell us what happened last of all? You're right. It was by the rainbow. What a happy ending. I like happy endings. Those are the best kind. All right, boys and girls, here's the word rainbow. Oop, look at a compound word. Rain plus bow is rainbow. Very good. All right, so let's see if we can do a quick retelling of the story without reading the whole story, just by looking at the pictures. All right, the leprechaun wanted to know where his pot of gold was hidden, so he looked by the dog. It was not by the dog. Next, he looked by the man, but it was not by the man. After that, he checked by the bin. It was not by the bin either. Finally, the leprechaun looked by the rainbow, and hooray, he found his pot of gold. Now, boys and girls, I just did a retelling of the story. I wasn't reading it one word after the next, but I was retelling it in my own words. And by paying attention to the sequence or the order the story happened in, I was able to do that. The second thing we were able to do today is we were able to go back to the story to look for key details, information that helped us answer questions that we had. That's when we found these words here, wasn't it? All right, let's do one reread of the whole story. Oh, you want to repeat after me? All right, let's do that. I'm going to move it a little bit closer so that you can follow along with the words so that you know what you're reading. Here we go. A pot of gold. Where is the pot of gold? Is it by the dog? No, not by the dog. Is the gold by the man? No, not by the man. Is the gold in the bin? No, not the bin. Do you see the pot of gold? Yes, it is at the end of the rainbow. Great job, boys and girls. I noticed how you said the sentences that ended with an exclamation point with a lot of excitement in your voice. I was especially excited when we found the pot of gold by the rainbow. I noticed that you made your voice go up when you saw the question mark. Very good. And I also noticed a little pause after the stop sign, the period, so they didn't all run together. You did a great job with that, boys and girls. Keep up the good work.